Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Friday, October 11th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick reminder of what we ended up doing yesterday. For the last 2 days, we ended up giving out plays on some college football matchups on Saturday. So if you did not bet them now, you can check those videos out and bet them accordingly. As I tried to give them out in advance, so you would be able to bet them on time. We have gotten very solid line movement though on Navy, as we ended up giving them out at -1. They are up to -1.5 in some spots. And the Fresno line has not moved. So far, can't really complain about that. But definitely giving out Navy early was the right play, as money has come in on Navy, and we are starting to see some spreads bounce up. So based on that, we got a good number, and we'll look for that number to continue. I expect Navy to close somewhere, as I said in the other video, somewhere around 2 or 2.5. So we definitely got good value at -1. However, in terms of today's video, I know that there's a decent amount on the card. You got some hockey, you got the start of the NLCS, which I have my thoughts on. I might make a separate video on that just to break down the series. But in terms of the play of the day, we're actually going to be sticking with college football on a Friday game that will be taking place at 8 p.m. Now, in terms of the game itself, a lot of people might listen to what I have to, my pick and wonder, what the hell am I thinking? And I'll explain that in a second. But in terms of the game, it will be between the Virginia Cavaliers, the number 20th ranked Virginia Cavaliers, and the Miami Hurricanes. And in terms of this game, we're actually going to be taking the Hurricanes here on the -2.5 spread, which is available at DraftKings at -110. Now, first glance at this game, all signs point to Virginia. Virginia's ranked. Miami's a losing record. Miami's defense got embarrassed last week by Virginia Tech, and Virginia had a bye week, so they had extra week of prep. Everything in this game says that Virginia should probably win, and yet money's poured in on Virginia, and the spread has continued to climb for Miami. Miami, despite having a losing record against, and now they're against a ranked team, opened up at -1. They've been bet all the way to -2.5. Why? I have no idea. I know that Virginia has been solid overall. They ended up losing to Notre Dame, but they have a pretty solid defense. Bryce Perkins is a superior quarterback in this game. Miami's made some changes. I don't think changes that are worthy of the point movement, but it's still worth mentioning. They ended up switching quarterbacks after freshman Jaron Williams was given the first couple of games. He got benched in the middle of last week's game to N'Kosi Perry, who was the starter for a portion last year. Perry was great, as he ended up throwing for over 400 yards, and he had a couple of touchdowns. They ended up losing to Virginia Tech, but they did have a thrilling comeback in that game. And the second change there that I forgot to mention was that Miami's coach, former defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz, has officially said that he will take more of a role in the defense in upcoming weeks. So I expect Miami's defense to be locked in into this game. But in terms of the actual just spread, I've said it before, it still doesn't make any sense to me. And this game reminds me a lot of the Utah USC game from a couple of weeks ago, where Utah was a top 10 team. USC was starting a backup quarterback, wasn't even starting. All signs pointed to Utah, and yet money was on Utah, and yet the spread was continuing to drop for USC. And then USC ended up winning outright, as Utah has struggled beating USC in USC for a number of years. Virginia has not won in Miami since 2007, and Virginia has also not won back-to-back conference road games since 2011. I know they're off a bye, so that helps, but the fact that the spread has continued to climb on Miami makes me scratch my head a little bit, and I definitely think that Miami, I know that the record's not great, but North Carolina's an okay team. They ended up losing in a very close game that they choked on the road. They also lost to Florida in a game they probably should have won in the opener. I don't think this Miami Hurricane team is as bad as advertised. Do I think Virginia's a better team? I think potentially, but I definitely think Miami should be rocking in the Hard Rock Stadium on Friday night. And for that reason, based on the questionable line movement, as well as the quarterback change and just the sheer athleticism in terms of advantage that Miami has, I'm going to take Miami. I think this game will be very close, but I think Miami should win this game by a field goal. So for that reason, the play of the day will be on the Miami Hurricanes -2.5, which is available on DraftKings at -110. And that is the play of the day for Friday, October 11th. How's it going, Guru? Thanks for joining us. In terms of some of the other games, though, we'll give out some leans real quick. I like Oregon in the first half with the spread. Colorado should be missing some key pieces. Their pass defense is terrible. Now they might be missing one of their starting linebackers. And Chevault, their star receiver, is probably going to end up missing this game as he has had some injury issues. Will be a first-round pick as he is he's just a tremendous talent. And I think he will do a pretty good job I think Colorado will do a decent job of playing offense without him, but I think they'll struggle a little bit in terms of big playmaking as he has been their huge dynamic playmaker and he is their go-to receiver. So I think he might not play, or if he does, he won't be at 100%. And I think Oregon, with their underrated defense, I think Herbert's going to torch this Colorado team. And I think Oregon should have around 21 to 28 points in the first half, and I think they should end up coasting. So lean to Oregon in the first half and the full game on that one. And in terms of the other college football game between Colorado State and New Mexico, I have to lean to Colorado State. Money's come in a little bit on Colorado State, but New Mexico has just been terrible in the last couple of weeks. And Colorado State, I know that their defense isn't great. They still give San Diego State a run for their money. The week before that, they also gave, I'm trying to remember who they played. I believe it was Utah State. They gave them a run for their money. New Mexico's just looked terrible, and I think New Mexico will continue to look bad. Colorado State should win this game by at least a touchdown. We'll lean to Colorado State on that one. Now, in terms of some baseball stuff, I know there's one game between the Cardinals and the Nationals. Money's coming on the Cardinals. They open up at minus 115. They're currently up to roughly minus 130 in most of the betting markets with Sanchez versus Mikolas. Mikolas hasn't pitched since game 1 of the NLDS, and he pitched okay. He started out terribly, but then he ended up smoothing it out. Sanchez pitched in game 3. Was it game 3 or game 4? Yeah, he pitched in game 3 because the Nationals won game 4 and 5. Yeah, he pitched in game 3. He was pretty good. Nationals bullpen came in and they were terrible. In terms of this game, I would have to lean to the Cardinals, but I would feel more confident leaning to the Cardinals in the second half or the last 4 innings, as the Nationals already used Corbin in game 5. They used Strasburg in game 5. Scherzer pitched game 4. Unless Sanchez goes about 7 innings, which I don't think he will, I think he'll go roughly 6. Then you have the Nationals bullpen for about 4 innings, and I think that Mikolas should do a decent job. I think the Cardinals have a better bullpen than the Nationals do by far. So for that reason, I will lean to the Cardinals in the second half or in the last 4 innings of that one, and I think they should be able to win that one. I'd also lean to the over in the last 4 innings, as I think these bullpens will – I don't want to say they'll struggle because the Cardinals bullpen's okay, but if they bring in Carlos Martinez, you should see some fireworks. With the Nationals, you could be looking at the likes of Rodney and Hudson and Doolittle again and Swainio. Their bullpen's terrible. And I know Doolittle was pretty good in the 10th inning against the Dodgers. They're also up 4 runs, so there wasn't much pressure against them. But overall, in terms of my leans for game 1, I would have to lean to the Cardinals. Now, in terms of hockey, I don't really have any thoughts on any of the hockey matchups, as Carolina's been great. I'm an Islanders fan, but I think Carolina should probably win. In terms of the other games, don't really have much of a thought. I would lean to Florida. That's a very small lean, as hockey is very unpredictable in the early part of the season. But in terms of the play of the day, it will be on the Miami Hurricanes minus 2.5 at home, which is available at minus 110 on DraftKings. It's possible that this loses, but at the same point, the line movement makes me scratch my head. And I think that when in doubt, you see a ranked team who's been playing a lot better than an unranked team, but yet they're an underdog. I think there's a reason for it. I think this is a massive trap line. I think squares will keep betting Virginia because of the fact Miami's been terrible. And I think Miami will come out with an extremely focused performance, because if they lose this game, they might not make a bowl game, as they will be 2-4. This is a must-win game for Miami. I think Miami should come out focused, so that is why we're going with the Hurricanes. But before we conclude today's video, though, a quick reminder to sponsor PointsBet. All-in sportsbook in New Jersey, a couple of great deals for you. Up to 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. If you end up betting on any sports and end up losing, you simply get your money back, which is a great promotion that I wish more sportsbooks would use. Other than that, though, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott Selections here for Friday, October 11th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.